and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with...
Sean.
A blank space. Lee. And Lee. Still no Chris. I think we can come to the conclusion he's having a few weeks off.
Yeah, what we have come to now from, like, essentially at one point being a team of 5, we've now got to the point where nobody can have a day off. Nobody can be sick. Everybody needs to take vitamins, like cod liver oil, anything to keep us going.
I have my vitamins right here next to where I'm recording.
I had a vitamin this morning.
No, I think Chris has actually been forced to work today by his evil overlords.
Grim.
Because, like some other countries, we've had a bank holiday today.
I worked today.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had to commentate on the bank holiday.
Yes.
Because in the Isle of Man, they have this bizarre thing where they've got to have one outdoor sitting of Parliament every year.
I've got a bit of a Manx tan going on as well. I've got only the V-neck of the dress I had on, and it was a 3/4 length sleeve, so I've just got sort of like pinky bottom of forearms.
And a white band under where your Fitbit's been, no doubt.
Yeah, it's a solid look.
But yes, I think Chris has had to actually work again today, so he will be joining us again soon. Honest. I mean, he did surface at some points during the weekend, because I know for a fact he was watching the race. Because we were chatting with him. Talking of the Austrian Grand Prix, like last year, better than the Styrian Grand Prix.
Yes.
Certainly more going on.
I thought it was a good race, you know.
Yeah, I thought it was decent enough.
I genuinely thought it was a good race. I know Verstappen checked out, and it was obvious, like, from the word go, but I think there was enough going on, especially like who was going to make up the rest of the podium. There was enough going on for the rest of the race, especially daft penalties.
Well, yeah. 8 drivers ended up with penalties either from qualifying or during the race, which just seems a little excessive. But I think for once the stewards were actually pretty consistent.
I think that was the problem, isn't it? They set the bar very low, and then just from there it was like, we've got to penalise, we'll get onto this a bit more later, but we've got to penalise Perez because he did the same as Norris, and you sort of, once you've set the standard, then you're sort of stuck there, aren't you?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, does it?
Yeah, it's making everybody's super licenses look a bit points heavy as well.
Yeah, some people are going to be a bit clenched for a few races.
Yeah, I just can't understand it. I mean, we went through this thing, didn't we, like a few years ago, where people were getting penalised all over the place, and then there had to be a meeting about it, and then everyone came out and said, yeah, right, we're going to let people race. Obviously, that's what they're fucking here for. But like, if you weren't overtaken, what do we do now? Right, say take Lando, because I don't know what anyone else's point situation is. He's 2 points away from a ban. After Silverstone, he loses 2. So he's still 4 points away from a ban, even after Silverstone. So how's he supposed to approach racing from now on?
Yeah, and his next points
it's stupid.
Yeah, his next points after that don't come off until the 15th of November. So for those that he's going to be on 8 points through until the middle of November, assuming he doesn't pick up any more.
Yeah. I mean, right, let's face it. The radio calls and team principals being on television and stuff like that are the football dives of Formula One, aren't they? The minute somebody does something wrong, somebody's there to complain about it. So obviously Perez is going to say he got pushed off, because he's not going to be happy turning around and saying, oh yeah, I probably shouldn't have put my car there. I was going to get run out of tracks sooner or later. But when you've got Christian Horner that comes on television and says, oh yeah, it was probably a racing incident. You know, Christian Horner that likes to complain about fucking everything. I really think that's like the stewards should have took notice of that.
But seemingly they didn't, because I mean it was three out of all the penalties were for forcing a driver off track. and Perez was involved in all the incidents.
Yeah, I've just worked it out. I've worked it out why he came on Sky and why he said it was a racing incident, because he absolutely didn't want Russell to have a penalty and take him out of battling with the Mercedes. So Perez has accused Norris of running off the road. Christian Horner's been in the garage going, "What are you doing, you fucking idiot?" And he's then got on the blower to ask if he can come onto Sky, and then said, no, it was a racing incident, trying to pad it all down because he didn't want Norris not being in front of the Mercedes.
I got a bit lost at one point. Did you say Russell but meant Norris?
Sorry, Norris, yeah.
I got very lost. I was like, what did Russell do? But yeah, having Lando there. Yeah, I know what you mean. Having him there and slowing down Hamilton for 20 laps was convenient for Red Bull.
Mm. And let's face it, like the pace he had, you take that 5-second penalty off Norris, he was second.
Yeah. He'd have come out ahead of Bottas, wouldn't he, at the
he
pit
would have
stops?
been second.
Yeah, he had.
And
he definitely had the pace.
But he was, even towards the end of the race, he was still quicker than Bottas. It was just the fact that he was saying every time he got in within a second of Bottas, he lost the front end. So if he'd have been ahead of Bottas, I think he'd have been quicker than him.
Quite possibly. We'll look at that in more detail in a bit, but we'll do the usual start from the back. A non-penalised team in 18th and 19th. Haas apparently were at the event this weekend.
But they were penalised. Mazepin got a 30-second penalty.
Oh, you didn't.
Did I forget Mazepin?
You missed
My
that.
apologies.
In that case, that means 9 drivers.
Yes. Mazepin.
Just took it as red. Mazepin was in a trouble somewhere.
I mean, he's one of the drivers with more penalty points, funnily enough. But yeah, so yeah, Mazepin got a 30-second penalty after the race for not slowing under the yellows caused by the Raikkonen-Vettel crash.
How can you tell if a Haas is slowing down or not?
That's reasonable. Yeah, it's a fair request.
It doesn't crash into you.
That's the thing. What does a slowed down Haas look like? Is it just crawling around like a milk float?
No, that's full speed.
I do think this thing about his car being heavier than Schumacher's is interesting.
Is this a thing? I've not heard this.
Yeah,
one.
he says 20 kilos, Gunter says 2.
Now,
no, Gunter said one of the cars is heavier, and he said, I'm not sure which one it is, which is clearly bullshit.
Oh,
the one I read, Gunter said there was about a 2 kilo difference between the cars.
I'm not sure. It does, like, because I mean, I'm not saying like, because I don't think Mick Schumacher's very good, so it's not like I'm saying Mazepin is fucking amazing because he should be there with Schumacher. But it certainly explains the difference between them, because there wasn't that gulf between them in F2.
How have they built 2 cars that are different weights? Is this a conscious decision, or have they just inexplicably made one slightly heavier?
Well, how have Dallara done it, you mean?
Haas
haven't
old
done it.
parts.
Possibly.
No, but I'd guess it's because the cars have got different parts. You know, if they've said, right, we're not building any like new cars for this year, we're just going to make these legal and go forward, I would think they've recycled quite a lot of parts. So if they haven't quite had the amount of parts to recycle, that could explain why one of the cars is a different weight.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or Mazepin's wallet fell under the pedals and they didn't notice.
Or there's that. That's also true.
Regardless of who had the heavier car and who had the least slow car, they were both fucking terrible again.
Yeah.
And I think with absolutely zero development in the top teams, and certainly Red Bull putting more into next year's car, are we going to see a Haas outside 107% this season?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think
they're not going to get that much quicker, because I mean, Red Bull are developing, but they're going to stop at some point, aren't they?
You just got to wonder. I mean, if it gets to Belgium and they are that far off the pace.
Yeah, I don't think they're in imminent danger at the minute, but we'll see, I suppose.
But yeah, they need to have something up the sleeve for next year, apart from obviously the new name, new ownership, and racing under the Russian flag, which we all know is going to happen.
Let's not forget, they're not Hispania bad.
Oh no,
That is true.
no.
Again, it's a low bar we're setting.
Yeah, I mean, they aren't Lola, but also they aren't Minardi. At least Minardi occasionally scored points.
When it was points in the top 6 as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which made it all the better achievement. Right, next, Aston Martin. Bad week. Stroll, 13th, penalised.
Yep, speeding in the pit lane.
And Vettel, 17th, 3-place grid drop in qualifying for being the last one of the train that bollocksed up Alonso's last flying lap in Q2.
That all felt harsh, didn't it?
It was harsh on
Alonso obviously had his thing done.
Yeah.
It was harsh on everyone because there were other drivers in front of Vettel.
That's the thing. It wasn't purely a situation of Vettel's creation. He just happened to be the first car that Alonso came across. Had he got out of the way, he'd have probably then got done by Sainz.
Yeah. As it was, Vettel didn't get a chance to set another Q2 lap because with him moving out of the way, that actually meant that he missed the checkered flag. But he still ended up in Q3.
But wasn't it Bottas that was the top of that train that sort of him trying to make space for himself?
Yes, I think it was Bottas followed by
caused it.
Sainz followed by Vettel, I think. So yeah, even if Vettel had got out of the way, Alonso wasn't going anywhere.
See, I feel in that situation, rather than it be the last person that was penalised, it should be the first.
The one that's nearest to the line or slowest moving at the time.
Yeah, the one that causes the problem, because he's backed everybody up. Do you know what I mean? If that was a car accident, it would be it would be the guy behind, wouldn't it? But so fuck off, Lee. You're wrong. But he's caused it. He's caused the issue there, and Vettel got the penalised for it. Shame as well. It felt like. Especially during the race too. Not that his retirement was his fault, but you kind of felt we had a bit more a broken Vettel back. He didn't really do a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he managed to. It was what was he? 12th, 13th? No, he was going for 12th.
He was 13th. He was overtaking Raikkonen when they kind of collected each other.
He should probably have been a little bit further up than that, but then again, Stroll was behind him, which I think just says, where was the race pace?
Yeah, I think that's it. It just wasn't there for them, was it?
I mean,
it's not their day.
They looked all right last time. Just maybe something about the conditions this week just wasn't.
And the tyres as well. Don't forget, it was a softer tyre this weekend, which I think is why we saw AlphaTauri doing a 2-stop.
Yeah, that is true. But yeah, just another one to forget for Aston Martin. Right, Alfa Romeo. Giovinazzi with a penalty in 14th. Raikkonen with a penalty in 15th. The Kimi and Seb move. What the hell was it?
I have no idea. It just seemed to come out of nothing. Raikkonen was battling with Russell, which wasn't going anywhere, and then Vettel just seemed to get involved, and all of a sudden there's 2 cars in the gravel.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It to me it looked like Raikkonen had half a run on Vettel, but before he was in the position where Vettel could see him, Vettel was already moving, to take the corner.
But Kimi was ahead, then Vettel got his nose ahead, and then they took each other off.
No, Vettel was ahead. Kimi was trying to get past.
Yeah, Raikkonen was penalised.
Yeah, but Raikkonen was ahead the corner before. Vettel got past, and Raikkonen was coming back at him.
Vettel kind of got alongside going down the straight.
Yeah, Raikkonen was trying to have a run, I think, into the next corner, wasn't he? But by the time he got our wheel next to Vettel's back wheel, it was already time for Vettel to be taking the line to take the corner. So it's because, and if you actually, if you look at Vettel's car, I don't even think he was turning. He was just sort of following the road because he doesn't move the wheel from inside the car. He's just where he is. I don't think he was to blame in any way for that crash. It was a racing incident.
Oh, it definitely was a racing incident. I think Kimi was, I don't know, lack of concentration.
He was probably last lap as well, wasn't it? You know, like last lap, sort of, to try and get past. Maybe he thought because they're mates as well. Maybe he thought Vettel might have been a little bit easier to get in on the inside of, but I think I don't know. It essentially doesn't. It's pointless, isn't it? Because neither of them were fighting for points or anything like that.
Yeah, they were battling for 12th.
Just a pointless crash.
I think that's it, though. I think because Raikkonen, like 2 corners before, had been trying to get past Russell, and then all of a sudden he's got Vettel on him. I think he was possibly a bit panicky.
Yeah, possibly. And
it's starting to look like Vettel's last. It's starting to look like Raikkonen's last year, isn't it? I think
it will be.
We say this every year.
Yeah, I mean we've said this every year since we started. Yeah, 5 years we've been saying
but he's
this.
been slow. He's been slow. Yeah, he's been slow this year, and I'm thinking back to like Damon Hill and David Coulthard. And you can tell when it's a driver's last year because they get a bit slow, then they get a bit crashy, and then they leave. And I am wondering whether if this is the beginning of Raikkonen being a little bit crashy as well.
Possibly, yeah. We didn't really mention Stroll so much when we were talking about Aston Martin, but it was terrible. And he sped in the pit lane. That's about all you can say for him.
Speeding in the pit lane is about the only thing I can tell you from his activities.
And Giovinazzi in 14th also participated in the race.
Yeah, punted Ocon off, got in trouble for twatting about under the safety car. I think that was about his day.
Was his first safety car overtake, wasn't it? Or before the safety car line?
It was before the safety car line, so the safety car had pulled off the track and he just got a bit keen, I think.
Yeah, bit of a non-event. Right, next up, the saddest 11th place in F1 history.
Even Alonso said he was sad about it.
And then called him a future world champion.
Oh. Well, he said that before, hasn't he? There seems to be a blossoming bromance between Alonso and Russell.
That's the next young driver who wants to suck all the life essence out of him to get another year on his career.
Yeah, that's it. Did you not notice how there was this when he hugged him, he stood back and one of his eyes was blue.
Maybe it's because George Russell is quite sort of big on the e-racing, and he's big on the socials. He thinks, this one could sell some hats. If I get him on side now, get him in a hat.
He hasn't got a youth hattist, has he now?
I don't think he has at the moment.
No, now Lando's not doing it anymore.
Lando's replaced all the Kamoa stuff with Quadrant, that's why.
Well, it is his own brand. And his own esports team. But yeah, I was gutted for George. I mean, gets into Q3 for the first time. With a penalty, starts from 8th. Had a bad start. I think he was 12th by the time the safety car came out, because he just got swallowed up by everyone on turn 3. Because he got forced onto the inside and was that far offline that everyone was able to go around him, and he lost about 4 places. But then got back up to 10th, and I was watching the gap coming down thinking, it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen, and it bloody didn't happen. What does he have to do to get points in the Williams? Because he has Johnny Herbert levels of bad luck.
Well, I've been thinking about this, and he went to the grid, and if you remember, they were saying that there might be something wrong with his car.
Yeah.
On the back end. And Williams turned around and said, "No, there's nothing wrong. We've checked the numbers." Then he has a bad start. Now, maybe there's been nothing said about whether there was something wrong with his car. But let's just, for the sake of the best information we have, is Williams saying there was nothing on the numbers to say there was anything wrong with his car. So let's take that at face value and say that George was maybe nervous going to the grid, and he had a couple of gremlins inside his head rather than in his car, and then he has a bad start. Is Russell being stuck in a Williams making him desperate because he knows that those slight glimmers of hope he has to get a decent result are so fleeting in that car? He's also got to try and impress his masters to get himself in a decent car next year.
Well, apparently the big boss
if
of Mercedes...
Russell doesn't get into a car...
Well, the big boss of Mercedes was there this week.
So I was just going to say, if... Yeah, apparently so. But if he doesn't get in another car soon, is it going to really be detrimental to his career and his confidence?
After 3 years in a complete shed, how can it not be?
Yeah.
You know, I've been a Williams fan since Alan Jones. So we're going back 40 years here, and it's testing my patience as a fan. What that must be like for somebody who it's their livelihood and their career and their reputation. I dread to think of the turmoil that it's putting him through.
He also turned around and said that in the 3 years he's been in Formula One, that battle he had with Alonso is the first time he's fought anybody in Formula One.
Yeah, because Bottas didn't put up much of a fight at the Squoval, did he?
No, he didn't.
Or when they both ended
Bottas
up in a
much
heap.
of a fight. That's where I thought you were going.
Yeah, that's what I assumed you were referencing.
He also said at some point this weekend that he will have a Mercedes engine in the back of whatever he's driving in F1 next year. When he was asked about Lewis's new contract and who's Lewis's 2022 teammate. Now, read into that what you will. I think that's just just playing the media game, and I think he's been offered an extension at Williams if Mercedes don't move him up the ranks, because I can't see him going to McLaren at the moment, because I think Danny Rick's got another year there.
I think they'd pay Danny Rick off and get Russell in if they could.
I can't see it happening somehow, and he's not going to go to Aston Martin.
He might go to Red Bull.
With a Mercedes in the back of the car?
Well, no, that's done. If they don't put him in the car, in the same situation as Van Dorn was, because both Russell and Ocon were in the same situation, where this was the year. If Mercedes don't put them in their car, they're free to go about their business. I still think. Toto Wolff has got something to do with it management-wise, but I don't think there's a legal obligation. There's a legal obligation that keeps him to the Mercedes program after this year.
No, but what he was saying was he will be in a car powered by a Mercedes engine next year. So that says to me a deal's already been done somewhere.
I personally, I'm playing devil's advocate here because I think he will be announced for Mercedes next weekend, next race at Silverstone.
Oh yeah, that's bound to happen.
If he doesn't get confirmed next week at the next race, he's not in Mercedes. I'll go as far to say that, and I think Bottas will be confirmed the week at the race after that, or over the summer break, something like that. But if they don't confirm Russell at Silverstone with a full crowd, then it's not happening. And I still think he'll, and even if there is like a deal that the Mercedes can strike up with Russell to keep him sort of as an option going into the future, I still think he's got to go somewhere else. And I don't think McLaren or Red Bull would say no. I don't think going to Red Bull would be a good move.
Going to Red Bull tends not to be a good move for anyone, apart from the chosen one of the week. And as soon as you're no longer the chosen one, it's a bad move going to Red Bull.
Mm-hmm. Even Perez, I don't think it's a done deal. Or it's been a good move. At least he's won a race. He's up there fighting at the front, but it does seem to be very much on the day whether he manages to get the car to work for him or not.
Yeah, but that's how Red Bull second drivers usually work, isn't it? Or certainly is in the Max era. I still think
absolutely.
I still think Perez is going to end up with two more years at Red Bull.
Don't know if he'll get 2 years, to be honest, but I can see them keeping him for next year. For the continuity, if nothing else.
Yeah,
I mean, he might turn into...
They might Bottas him and just give him 1 year deals until he gets bored.
Yeah, it would make sense if he can come on board a bit more. It would make sense for him to be Verstappen's Massa. I think he fits that role quite well. I think I've said that before, haven't I? Years ago about Perez, that I think he'd make a good number 2 to a world champion.
After his first try at being number 2 to a world champion didn't work out, but that's how McLaren was working at the time.
He didn't get the number 2 bit then. He didn't get the number 2 bit then. I think he gets it now.
Yeah. The other Williams, Latifi, was also penalised for not slowing down in the Vettel-Raikkonen thing, and didn't really notice him.
No, I don't remember anything he did particularly.
He was Canadian.
He apparently was there.
Yeah, and as well as Happy July the 4th to all our American listeners for yesterday as it is now. Canada Day sometime
soon? It's soon. It's this week, I think. Is it the 10th?
I'm just Googling it now.
I think it's been, hasn't it?
Oh, it was last week. It was the first.
Yeah, I think...
No, it had a 1 in it.
Well, in that case, sorry to all our Canadian listeners for missing Canada Day. Sorry being, of course, your national word. Just wait for the tweets.
They'll be very polite about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they'll apologise for calling me something. Right, Alpine. Alonso, we've sort of touched on. Ocon punted out lap 1, brought out the safety car.
Yeah, just went into a gap that wasn't really going to be there for much longer. And
in the words of Senna, if you no longer go for a gap, you're no longer a racing driver.
I mean, this is true, but yeah, I think given who was involved, I think it was pretty obvious that gap was not going to be stable.
Temporary.
Yeah.
Alonso, I think we can call it a recovery drive from, obviously, nightmare qualifying. And the most pissed off I think I've ever heard him on the radio. This beats GP2 engine. Is Q2 rant. Did he actually give Vettel the finger?
I don't think it was the finger. It was a hand gesture. Raikkonen gave Mazepin the finger during practice. That was very entertaining. But I don't think it was quite as detailed as the finger. I think it was generic exasperated hand.
Yeah, exasperated Mediterranean flap.
Yeah.
That's on a certain type of aircraft, isn't it? You got to check them before you take off in crosswinds. I think we've just got this week's title as well. But yeah, a good recovery drive. Back into the points, and he's definitely coming to terms with the car. Ocon, on the other hand, everyone's calling it the contract hangover. It was a bit now in qualifying.
I think 2 weeks in a row has he not been out in Q1.
Yeah.
It might just be this is not his track, but yeah.
Yeah, he missed Q1 in one of the races, Q2 in one of the races last year in Austria as well. I think.
Yeah, it just doesn't quite know how this one works.
Yeah, put your foot down and go for it. unless you're about to be Joe Benazi'd. We've not really learned anything new about Alpine this week, these last 2 weeks, apart from this circuit isn't for Ocon, and Alonso's getting used to the car. But considering where Renault have been in the past, I think that's actually quite a good thing. You know, not suddenly made any stunning discoveries like, oh God, it falls apart when it gets into 7th gear again. Or put Jolyon Palmer behind the wheel.
Car of compromise.
Yeah, put Jolyon Palmer behind the wheel and it instantly turns into a fire hazard through no fault of his. I know what you mean. I know what you mean about the compromise. Because Renault have traditionally gone for the high rake. They've lowered it a bit, and all of a sudden, this year's aero favours the high rake teams.
This year's aero favours something like a plus size, maybe.
Because
this year's aero favours body positivity.
Because the Renault rake, the car used to look like it was going downhill when it was going uphill. There was that bigger rake on the back.
It did have particularly like high ass.
And maybe if they'd have kept the philosophy into this season, we could actually be seeing better results from them. And they may have just got the maths wrong, and they're now trying to sort of develop the way out of it.
Maybe. I don't think they're developing, are they? Really? I
haven't noticed.
I think they're another
massive.
team that are. I think they're another team sort of treading water until next year.
We need to get Scalbs back on soon and get him to point out if there's been anything sort of majorly new happened and how much development we've actually
Summer break
seen.
Would be good.
Yeah. If you're listening, Craig, drop us a line. If not, I'll just start bugging you. Right, AlphaTauri. Gasly in 9th and a doubly penalised Tsunoda in 12th.
Yeah, 2 ridiculous penalties for crossing the white line on the way into the pit entry. Both times! Exactly the same way, exactly the same style. Both times he came into the pit lane. How do you achieve this?
Well, his first pit stop, it looked like they called him in really late because he was losing the back end as he was turning in and coming into the pit lane. I didn't see it the second time, but did they tell him late again, and they were just fucking with him?
Not that I know of.
I'm
calling it now. This is either the last year for Tsunoda, or next year will be the last year.
I don't.
As soon as Honda's gone, he'll be gone.
I don't think we'll be keeping him on. I'm pretty certain he went in as a make-way, and let's face it, what else have they got?
I think it was that, and maybe to keep Honda happy. Maybe even putting him into Formula One might have even been part of the deal for Red Bull to take on the IP of the engine.
I was saying that to some friends over the weekend, and those kind of deals seem to happen in F1 all the time. I did hear a rumor that Sochi was only on the calendar, was only going to be guaranteed on the calendar while there was a Russian driver on the grid, which is why Red Bull, the Red Bull organisation or AlphaTauri were able to get rid of Kvyat. Now that there's another Russian there.
Oh. Interesting.
Because F1 want a race in Russia for the exposure. And, now it's moving to St. Petersburg, so I don't know whether a similar clause is going to exist in that contract, but it looks like we'll be having Mazepin for a while. Because for his dad...
Well, of course there will be, because he's going to buy the team.
Yeah. Formula One is rapidly becoming take your son to work day.
Oh, speaking of which, we should mention, since you brought it up, last week, Lee was very surprised to learn there is a Dave Schumacher.
Oh, yes.
Who won his first F3 race at the weekend.
Dave, son of Ralph.
Yeah, so there he is. David Schumacher, the other one.
I always think that when you when somebody names their child, I mean, like Dave, it always strikes me like as a distinct lack of optimism for that child.
I mean, his dad is Ralph Schumacher, so how much optimism are you starting with?
Character, because it's no, but Ralph's an odd one because you don't get many Ralphs. You know, you don't get apart from Wiggum. I can't really think of another one.
Wreck-It Ralph
and Furman.
I don't know. You do in Germany. It's a fairly common German name.
But Dave, like I don't think I've ever met a Dave that's under 39.
My Auntie Yvonne's Yorkshire Terrier. That's a Dave.
Not a human Dave, though, is it?
No, true. It's probably over 39 in dog years now.
Don't get me fucking started on animals with people names. That's another fucking pet hate of mine.
Pet hate? He'll get there. So, how is Jensen the cat?
That's different because that's after a sporting personality.
So does that mean we can get away with Bruno because he could? I don't know if he is, but he could easily be named after Bruno, Frank Bruno.
Yeah,
because he is a bit of a bruiser.
Mars. Yeah,
could be named after Bruno Mars.
Yeah.
Why not?
It's more of a brand than a person.
And we think Dizzy's named after Gillespie because it's a very.
I think she's named after Rascal.
Because her brother was Marla. And Dizzy Gillespie and Marla are very sort of upper-end radio station listener taste in music things.
Well, there we go.
Could be named
that was
after
an interlude.
The egg.
Oh, God.
Could be named after the egg
I'd forgotten about that game.
80s game fame.
Dizzy's Great Adventure. Well, you can usually hear a
Treasure Island Dizzy's brilliant.
Need another retro gaming night soon. What we're talking about? Oh, yes, Sonoda. Absolutely bloody pointless in a make-weight. Gasly, a disappointing 9th place for him, and that's a very, very odd thing to say. Gasly not being top 6.
Yeah, but how long have we seen this for, though? The amount of times we've seen Toro Rosso with a good car, or what we think is a good car, and able to do absolutely nothing with it.
I think they went all in a bit too early on the two-stop strategy because a lot of the teams that they got beaten by, or a lot of the drivers that sort of passed Gasly in particular, were ones who did quite a long first stint. So the idea that he was on newer tyres towards the end didn't actually give him that much of an advantage because everyone around him had stopped late as well.
Yeah, I think they strategized themselves out of it, because two-stopper was looking more likely this weekend with the softer tyres. But it's how you manage it.
But yeah, there is a bit of that. But then you've also got that the circuit would have been more rubbered in this week, because I don't think it was that wet during the week. They had 3 support series. It should have sort of offset the difference in the tyre strategy, in the tyre compounds.
Yeah, but don't forget they did have the Porsche Super Cup this week, and they've usually got to sort of cleanse the track after it and get rid of all the bits of Porsche.
Well, yeah, that is true.
Right, Ferrari, a little bit of resurgence. Carlos in 5th and Leclerc in 8th. No penalties for either of them.
Yeah, shite qualifying though, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was absolutely abysmal. I think both out in Q2.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we were seeing the slow last season's vintage Ferrari again at one point, I thought. But it looks like they had a bit of race pace between them. And
yeah, what happened to Leclerc?
He got stuck tangling up with Perez, did he not?
Yeah, I mean, Perez had him off the track twice, but he was stuck behind Tsunoda for quite a while as well. He was in the early stages of the race. So he was in that Tsunoda train. 'Cause I think Tsunoda was running about 8th at one point, and the next 6 cars behind him were all in DRS range of each other, and nobody could get past him for a while. And I think that's what slowed Leclerc down quite a bit. Then obviously the two things with Perez didn't help matters later on.
Yeah, I mean, he must have picked up a bit of damage from that as well because, Sainz had to be let past, didn't he?
Yeah, and there wasn't. It was definitely letting him pass because there wasn't any defending going on there, and Sainz just buggered off up the road.
I think as well at that point, Sainz had stopped a bit later. Yeah, Sainz thanked him, didn't he, and said, "I'll get it done" or something along those lines.
Because they were both trying to hunt down Ricciardo.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think Sainz had stopped a good chunk of laps later, so I think he had the newer tyres.
Sainz was the last one to make a first stop. Because I think we were coming into the second stop pit window by the time he did, because he started on hards and he ran them for I think it was about 40 laps.
Fair enough.
I've not got the numbers in front of me, but he was out for ages. And that one did pay off because he went into a new set of mediums and managed to get the jump on Ricciardo and be within the 10 seconds of Perez when he got his penalty at the end. Penalties. Sorry, it's easy to lose count. Right, McLaren. Was Lando done out of second?
Possibly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The penalty was the reason, I think, that Bottas came out ahead of him after the pits.
Yeah, because Lando went in 2 seconds ahead, came out 2.5 seconds behind. But that qualifying, though, damn near got pole.
Yeah.
Purple in the first two sectors, and then just a bit of oversteer on the final corner, and that was enough to drop him. What was it? 2300ths off pole, something ridiculously. 23,000. Sorry.
No, I think it was hundredths.
0.02 or something.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds about right.
But yeah, absolutely phenomenal. Saw a tweet from Damon Hill earlier, and he was saying that when Zak Brown first signed Lando, he thought that he was taking a massive chance, but on him being so young and unproven. But it appears to have paid off. Since this equivalent race last year, yes, it has. You know, he's fast. He likes Austria, and that car is worlds away from any McLaren that we've seen for a long time. McLaren hadn't had a front row start while we've been doing the podcast.
Good Lord, that's a thing.
The last time a McLaren started on the front row was Brazil 2012.
Oof.
Which was Lewis Hamilton's last race for the team. That came from Virtual Startman.
No, he's wrong.
Oh, whoa! This is controversial.
Got pole position in Belgium. Jenson Button got pole position in Belgium.
What
in
year was
2000 and? Oh, was it 2011? Maybe he is right.
Hang on, let's have a look.
Quick bit of Googling.
I can't remember when did Button get pole for. But he did get pole in Belgium, didn't he? Because he got pole and won the race. I think it might have been 2011.
It was 2012. According to
was it?
the internet. Yes.
But that was still before the last race of that season, which was in Brazil.
Yes, Hamilton got 4 poles after that. Cool.
So, yes.
I had it in my head that Hamilton wasn't Button's teammate at the time, but yeah, he must have been. And now I remember he was, because that was the year Hamilton, he seemed to crash with Massa every weekend.
Oh, yes.
The year of "Don't touch me, man."
Don't touch me, man.
Yeah.
But yes, that was McLaren's last front row start. The 2012 Brazilian Grand Prix, which of course came after Belgium. So yeah, that's the first time as a podcast we've seen a McLaren starting on the front row. I find that really hard to believe. We've killed Lee.
Yeah, this is stunned silence all round, I think.
No.
Other side of the garage, Danny Rick getting up to 7th from another bad qualifying.
That's the thing. It was a good race, but yeah, what the fuck is the qualifying?
His 1 lap pace is terrible. He's just not got the car in qualifying mode at all. You know,
it would be interesting to see what his lap times were like compared to Lando's. You know, in race trim.
Yeah, the race laps.
Yeah, because he certainly didn't certainly not had it in qualifying for a while. I mean, the internet is full of get him out, get rid. You know, he's not doing it. He's still having a better season than he had his first season in Renault.
I don't think he is.
I don't know,
because he wasn't this far behind. He wasn't this far behind Ocon.
It would have been Hulkenberg, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, it was Hulk. Yeah, but he's got more,
Hulkenberg. Yeah,
he's got more points.
But he's got a better car. Of course, he's got more points, but because that McLaren is better than that Renault was. But like, as far as teammates, I mean, the way he's been done by Lando. This is what happened with Gasly, or Albon, and they didn't see a whole season out for their team.
True, but McLaren isn't Red Bull.
No, but it doesn't. I'm just saying, in comparison, like if you look into teammate battles, Ricciardo is doing the worst against his teammate consistently, week after week after week. I know he was a second adrift of Lando in qualifying, a whole second.
Yeah, this is why I'm saying this is what he needs to do. Just get his get his qualifying performance sorted.
But yeah, that's what I mean. That's why it'd be interesting to look at the comparative lap times, because is it just the qualifying? If he could have qualified with Lando, would he have stuck up there, or would he have fell backwards into the pack? Could he have, if you'd have swapped them around, could he have got himself onto the podium in that car? Because whatever it is, I think if you go back and look, I mean, he's got more points than he had in Renault. But if you were to go back and look at the results comparative to his teammate, I think he was on board quicker in the Renault than he has been with McLaren. This time in the Renault, he was kind of on board with it. He was still complaining about the brakes a little bit, but he was up there. He was comparative to his teammate, probably beaten Nico by now. Whereas there just doesn't seem to be anything there. It could be the fact that maybe he's not working with McLaren, not even just the car. Maybe he's not like gelling with the way the team works.
It could be. I mean, I'm just looking at the 29 season at the moment, and Danny and Hulk were pretty similar until the summer break. In fact, until
they were similar.
Yeah, there wasn't.
So that means instantly that year was better than this year.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't always compare against a teammate. You know, it's how you're doing with the car and against other teams.
I think we would say Lando is better than Hulkenberg.
I would think so.
Yeah, I mean, but that the problem is, but what you're going against everything every Formula One driver's ever said there, because every Formula One driver says the first person you compare yourself to is your teammate.
Yeah, but don't forget we're in a different era of Formula One now, and it's all matey and chummy, and everyone works together in public. I mean, one thing to bear in mind for Ricciardo.
All we do is that. Like, it's all we do is compare people to teammates.
I mean, one thing to bear in mind about Ricciardo, there's only 2 races so far this season where he hasn't finished in the points.
Yeah, he's got a good car. He should be in the points. He should be in Q3.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was saying before. That is his major fault this season, and he would probably be further up in the points if he could actually get to grips with the car better for qualifying. There's no denying...
Yeah, but he's not.
Well, I never said he wasn't.
No, but I'm just saying, he's the thing is, how long do McLaren give him?
They gave Perez
because
a year.
If it was me, they did different McLaren though as well. But I think they have to be thinking now, because don't forget he'll be on a good chunk of change. You know, because he was like a 10 million plus guy, wasn't he?
I heard quite a bit more than that.
So
yeah, I think you're about
double it.
Yeah, I was going to say you're at least 50 to 66% too low there.
What was that? See, yeah, I had 14 in my head.
I had 27.
Yeah, if he's in the 20s, crazy. Wow. Because he is not 27 million's worth of a driver right now.
No, I'll give you that. He's definitely not been value for money.
But this is the thing. I think McLaren will, like I keep saying about Mercedes losing championships because of Bottas, I think McLaren will lose to Ferrari over the course of the season because of what Ricciardo's doing.
I think that there's a chance. I mean, they've extended it by a point. It was 18 points last time. It's 19 points now, so they're in a slightly better position.
Yeah, but again, though, his car. If you look at where Ferrari were, I don't think he should have been. Even I know he qualified badly, but if you look at race trim, like Lando was lapping the same sort of speed as McLaren's, and Matt hanging on as best he could to the back.
Well, Lando should have been lapping the same time as a McLaren since he's in one.
You mean lapping the same speed as Mercedes?
Oh, Mercedes, right?
Oh, sorry, Mercedes. yeah, sorry, Mercedes. I like the Ferraris couldn't have lapped at that speed. So that says to me that even through the race, even after qualifying badly, Ricciardo should have been able to make his way through enough to where he wasn't being hunted down by the Mercedes at the end of the race, simply due to the fact they had a quicker car for the entirety of the race.
Yeah, the problem is getting through traffic, and that's the issue. And if you qualify badly, then you are going to struggle to get through that much traffic. I mean, where did Tsunoda end up qualifying? Because of his train, he was running about seventh, and he was forming the train, and there was a lot of cars that you thought would have been faster than him that couldn't get through.
I think if it was anyone that wasn't Danny Rick, we'd be calling for his job as a podcast. Not I know there's people out there, but it's. I think if it wasn't Danny Rick, we would be. Because I'm not saying they should replace him, and he does have enough sort of historic kudos backed up to sort of drive him through this. But if he's still doing this after the summer break, into the summer break, I don't know what you do.
So
should Aston Martin get rid of Vettel?
I think Vettel might go of his own accord.
Yeah, but I think Vettel's doing better compared to Stroll than Ricciardo is compared to Lando. That's what I mean. There's no defense as far as teammates go, because he's doing the worst against his teammate than any other
Strictly
driver
speaking,
on the
I think
grid.
that's Bottas. I think Bottas has the biggest point. No, not Bottas. Perez. Perez has the biggest points gap to teammate.
I mean positions as well. I mean that points gap's going to grow when you've got, when you've got one guy that's actually winning races and getting more podiums than you. But even if you're 2 places behind him, if you're off the podium, that gap's going to grow. But Perez has won a race. He's whereas if that would be like if Lando had gone out of the that race, like Ricciardo was nowhere near to try and pick up that podium they could have got.
Yeah, I mean, yes, he should be further up, and he should. It's just all coming down to single lap pace and bad qualifying.
Maybe, like I say, we'd have to look at his lap times. I would hazard a guess that it's not all single lap.
I've spent the entirety of this discussion trying to find them, and they are not freely available on the internet.
Yeah,
or not in a place I know to look.
I think because there'd have been times where he was in free air,
yeah,
and it'd be interesting to see what his lap times were like compared to Lando's. I reckon he'd be a few tenths a lap off him.
I'll see if I can find anything on Forex, and I'll have a look at some numbers. I'll failing that, they're not freely available.
Yeah.
Right, top two. Probably an all-in one for Mercedes and Red Bull. Start with Perez. Torrid, you could say.
Eventful, I think.
Penalised and penalising is one way of putting it.
Eh?
Well, he got penalties and he managed to cause a penalty.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, so any of the three events that he was in, if we were stewards, were they penalties? Because I thought it had to be an all or nothing, because it was three very similar situations.
That's the thing, isn't it? Once you decide one of those three incidents is a penalty, then the other two kind of have to be, because they're very similar. Not entirely convinced the first one is.
No, I don't think. I mean, he was offline with Lando, and I couldn't actually see who was ahead, but he was running wider, and he put the car somewhere where if he was carrying on at that speed, he was going to go off track. Now, I saw a tweet from Virtual Statman earlier saying, the stewards have to sort of make it known that you can't go back to the days of wheel-to-wheel banging racing, otherwise you will get the Senna Schumacher-esque take another driver out and you'll get away scot-free because you can just call it a racing incident. Mm-hmm. So the stewards have to do something about it. But conversely, does that lead to you put yourself in a position where you're going to end up going off track, but it looks like you're trying to make a pass and you've been forced out? That's the equivalent of the football dive.
Yeah. It also feels a little bit pointless when Ross Brawn said that they want to make these cars next year more durable. So if there is a bit of banging in wheel-to-wheel combat, there isn't bits of aero flying off them all over the place. It makes it pointless doing that if you're going to fucking give someone a 5-second penalty every time they fucking scrub together.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing last year was just let them race. Well,
so actually just let them race.
Yeah. Now it's just let them race, but we'll decide the finishing order in the stewards' room afterwards.
I think if either of those moves had gone from the inside, where someone took the inside line to take someone and pushes them out wide off the track, I think that should be considered a penalty, because you're trying to overtake someone and you're pushing out. If you're trying to overtake somebody on the outside and you put your car on the outside where the guy which already owns that corner, because you haven't got a couple of wheels ahead of their nose, if they've already won that corner and naturally the slip of the tires and is gonna push them wide, I think you should expect it. If you're gonna put your car there, you should be expected to run out of road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do not disagree, and I think that's sort of what Lando said, and
apparently what Christian Horner said as well.
Yeah, it's crazy situation, and it was a real shout. I don't know if you guys were looking on Twitter at the time when that happened, but it was just a sea of people saying if we can't do this, we might as well pack up and go home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw enough tweets. I was chatting with a load of people on Discord, and that was basically the crux of the conversation then as well. Absolutely ridiculous penalty. And
you're going to get to the point where people just don't go for overtakes at all because they think if they get one tiny bit wrong, then they're going to end up with a penalty and that's going to be the end of their race anyway. And then you end up with boring races.
Everything's standardised like France. Except this
Don't
year.
knock this year's France.
Do you think it might be a lack of experience in his job from Michael Massey?
Well, it's not really Massey that makes the decision, is it? Because all right, he's race director and he orders the stewards to look at something, and then it's the stewards that take the call on what the penalty is going to be, or if there is one.
Derek Warwick.
So yeah, it's the stewards that have the final call on it, and that they're working under the direction of the FIA. And of the FIA just being generally too wrap it up in cotton wool about the whole thing.
But like you say though, it's him who refers it to the stewards, so he's looked at that and felt like it's more than a racing incident. Which is bizarre.
I mean, Charlie Whiting, of course, is a hard act to follow.
Yeah.
Would always be, and was generally, on the whole, seen as the fairest person ever to do the job. And I don't know if it's a lack of experience for Massey, but he's got a different style of doing things. I saw him described online as somebody who always talks to you like he's talking down to you.
He does come across as a bit of a smug twat.
No, well, if we ever get him for an interview, we'll have to get him to tell us what mansplaining really is. Moving next up, well, I mean, we've not said a lot about Perez's race performance, but it's another of those Perez races where possibly trying a bit too hard because mistakes have been made and trying to overcorrect them.
I think that was it. I think particularly with Leclerc, it was trying to overcorrect the earlier issues.
That seems to become a sort of common thread with Checo since he's moved to Red Bull. I've not noticed him do it before, but when things go wrong, he tries too hard to put things right and ends up making it worse.
It's the life of the Red Bull number 2 driver. You know, if things aren't going well, it's not good.
It's your fault and your neck on the chopping block. Right, Hamilton. Gonna have to be very careful what we say about Hamilton when he finished fourth, because obviously, because we're mentioning that he didn't come on the podium, we must be a load of Hamilton haters. But if, according to the Autosport article, he had damage and lost 30 points of downforce, although I don't know what a point of downforce is worth, then we're defending him and being fanboys. So Lewis Hamilton came fourth.
I agree.
I feel that we should do Bottas and Lando at the same time here, because they're very much part of this story, aren't they?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe they should have swapped the drivers round, because even if they lost second, if Mercedes lose the Drivers' Championship by a couple of points, they're going to look pretty fucking stupid.
But if they'd have lost second, they'd have lost more points than they did by losing third.
No, but I meant they've got one guy in the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah, but as a team though, it was the right decision. It was unfortunate that for them the right way around would be if Bottas's car was damaged rather than Hamilton's. But once he's got damaged, there's not a great deal they can do.
It was when,
aside for go and get Bottas to try and I don't know, do something to Verstappen, which was never going to happen. But
they threw Hamilton to the wolves, didn't they? Because
they
it
had
was
to.
obvious. Yeah, but
it was when they said at first to Bottas, "Don't race,"
yeah, that was fucking ridiculous.
and I was thinking at that point, right? So if he does, we know he's on his way out.
I think that was the right thing to do. I think the right thing they should have done was try and hold Lando up with Bottas as long as they could.
We've seen Bottas try to hold people up, though. It doesn't go well.
It doesn't go well.
So he'd have got Bottas, then he'd have got Hamilton.
But maybe he could have kept, because they'd have lost time. But they'd have lost time fighting, and maybe he could have kept it long enough that Lewis would have kept his second place.
I don't see it personally. I think Hamilton, if his car was damaged, I don't think he would have ever have had enough of a gap. We saw Norris didn't end up that far behind Bottas in the grand scheme of things, and that was a Bottas at full chat.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, it depends, doesn't it? Because I know, obviously, the Constructors is important to the team.
Yeah.
But I've never quite understood whether is the Drivers' Championship more important to the team. I would think from a monetary point of view, as far as getting sponsors on board, having the world driver and Drivers' Champion in your team is more impressive than having the Constructors' Championship. So
Depends if you're Ferrari or not.
Yeah. But I think that they didn't do enough to protect the damage that was happening to Lewis Hamilton. I think they should have told Bottas he couldn't race Lewis, tried to hold Lando up. At very least, you would have had Lewis third and still on the podium. And that comes from a non-Lewis Hamilton fan.
This week.
Yeah, I think for this stage of the season, I think it's too soon to go all in on one driver and be like, oh, well, this is the championship guy, so we're doing that. When you officially start the season by saying, yeah, it's a level team, blah, blah, blah.
I think they've got to.
Well, at the point we're at now, Hamilton is over two race wins ahead of Bottas. You know,
and isn't Max Verstappen nearly
58
two
points.
race wins ahead of? But
No, it's
isn't
only
Max
31,
Verstappen-
isn't it? It's only 30, 31?
What, between Lewis and Bottas?
No, between Verstappen and Lewis.
32.
32, excuse
32.
me.
Isn't it like nearly 40 points between Bottas and Hamilton?
32.
32.
Yeah.
32 between everyone.
32 between Bottas and Hamilton. 58 between Hamilton and Bottas.
No, Verstappen and Hamilton was what I...
Between Verstappen and Hamilton is 32.
32, right.
I've said 32. God knows how many times.
Yes, I think that's
Yeah.
what got me confused.
Yeah, Verstappen has a lead of over one race over Hamilton, but Hamilton has a lead. You know, Verstappen has nearly got twice as many points as Bottas.
Yeah.
Mercedes only have one guy in the Drivers' Championship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, so do Red Bull. You know, but Red Bull went into the season like that. You know, even if Perez could have
At least Perez
done
is
a little
third.
bit more.
Where is
Yeah.
Bottas? Is Bottas actually fourth now?
Fifth.
Is he
behind
still fifth?
Yeah, behind Lando. Nine points behind Lando.
It's not ideal.
Not good luck. Not good luck at all.
And in the Constructors, you've got Red Bull being 46 points ahead of Mercedes, who were then 101 points ahead of McLaren. But yeah, it's two horse races. Two horse races for both, with Lando/McLaren picking up whatever's left. But no, I think they were going for Constructors' points. When it gets to the point, and I think it'll be after the summer break, they're going to have to throw all in with Lewis, and for the second half of the season, it will be Valtteri, you are not allowed to race. It's James.
Yeah, I still stick by. If they lose it by a couple of points, they're going to look daft.
To be honest, with the current form that Red Bull are in, I think Mercedes are going to lose both championships by more than a couple of points.
Maybe. I mean, we'll have to see. We're in an odd situation, though, aren't we? When you've got a you've got a race that's been done twice that clearly favoured Red Bull over Mercedes, and every other race we've had, it's looked a lot closer than this. So we'll know in Silverstone, won't we? If Red Bull are fucking romping off down the road again, then we're in trouble championship-wise as far as seeing any sort of close battle. But we might go back to the time where Red Bull and Mercedes are close. I think Mercedes have got an update coming, haven't they?
They have, after Toto said they weren't doing any.
I wonder if what Toto meant was they're not making any more, or they're not coming up with any more new updates, but they've still got an update schedule for what they've already done. Are you suggesting that
Toto has been loose with the truth?
I think he's been economical with the language.
Uh-huh.
You know, we're not going to develop any new updates from here, but he didn't say there's no more updates currently in development and being tested.
All right, Toto's lawyer.
Yeah, every F1 press release, always read what it doesn't say.
This is true.
But in the end, it was a bloody easy win for Verstappen.
Yeah.
You know, good start, put his foot down, checks out.
Bonus pit stop at the end just because he had time for it.
Yeah.
Did Lando get driver of the day?
No, it was Max, I think, wasn't it?
Did he really?
Or was it
No,
Lando?
it was Lando. It was Lando. I saw the interview in the car. Everyone was wanting to vote for Kimi just to see what his in-car interview would be like. Because they're going all Formula E now and doing the in-car interviews. Yeah, I know American racers did it first, but we didn't watch American racing until a couple of years ago. It was Lando that got driver of the day. Right, rock stars and wankers.
Oh. Stewards for the old wankers.
Yeah.
The rules, the way the rules are actually written.
Yeah.
Because it lends itself to bollocks like this.
I want to put Alonso in both rockstar and wanker.
For taking the point off George, but being a decent human being about it.
And actually being able to get 10th place from where he was after getting qualifying buggered up.
Off-track rockstar for Mazepin for presenting Gunther Steiner with a door, or a fuck smash door, in retaliation to the spinning top.
I can't really think of anything.
I can't remember any more rockstar-y vibes.
I'm saying it for being a second behind in qualifying. Daniel Ricciardo is a wanker at the minute for what he's doing in that car.
Quali wanker is reasonable.
Yeah. One other rock star, the guy that was filling in for Alex Jakes on F3 this weekend.
he was a good tribute act.
He was. Alex Jakes having to isolate due to COVID. The other commentator that got in alongside Jordan King did a bloody good job on the F3.
Other wanker was the female pundit from F1 TV. I forget what her name is. She was in the Sky for a hot minute. I forgot what her name is.
Rosanna Tennant?
Very, very posh blonde.
Yeah, Rosanna
Tennant. You've hated her since the Mercedes launch in 2018.
Yes. But she keeps calling Quali the Power Hour.
Yeah, this is a twattish name for a thing.
Yeah, the Power Hour was Music Box's equivalent of Headbangers Ball in the 1980s.
I used to work at a radio station that had a Power Hour, and what it was code for is an hour of back-to-back tunes, so we don't have to pay a presenter for an hour.
Yeah, I'd also say that it sounds like a section of a night in a gay nightclub. You know, where they just play like really hard European dance music or something like that.
All the camp classics.
But of course it has. Yeah. But it has to start with Snap.
Incidentally, Harry Benjamin was the name of the F3 commentator that you.
Harry Benjamin. Yeah. Fantastic job. Definitely better than any of us could have done.
Well, yes.
Doubt it.
Right, onto the news. Apparently, Hamilton signed something at the weekend. He gave his autograph away.
This pissed F3 off because it was announced about 2 minutes before their first race of the weekend started, so they were fuming.
And everyone that claimed Hamilton will definitely be retiring at the season. Oh yeah, I can't see him going on. That's it. He's gonna finish. Well, no, apparently not. He's stuck with him until 2023.
I thought he'd retire.
I mean, we've seen drivers with contract retire.
Oh yeah, I mean we all know that an F1 contract isn't worth the paper it's written on, but something tells me he'll see this one out. I
just wonder whether the talk of him being worried about Russell is right. Be interesting to see.
Yeah, it'll be good to find out who the teammate is and if that veto actually exists.
If Russell isn't in that car and Bottas is, the veto exists.
That does seem a reasonable assumption.
Yeah, because there's no, on Bottas's current form, there is no way you'd keep him in the car, even as a number 2, because he's not doing the number 2 job that well. Like week in, week out, he can do the number 2 job, on his day. But yeah, you'd replace him unless there's a veto in there that means he doesn't want that. I mean, you've got like the likes of Fernando Alonso going around singing George Russell's praises. I think if you were the established world champion, you'd be a bit worried about that.
Well, we know how well Lewis and Alonso get on.
I think they're pretty cool now, aren't they?
I think it's mellowed. Yeah, I think there's a sort of a respect, if not a friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Hamilton's probably sort of, 2 titles? Well done, mate.
they were never fully like after that was over. It was never like the Hill Schumacher thing, though, was it? No, there was genuine animosity between Hill and Schumacher.
To be honest, there was genuine animosity between Schumacher and anyone he screwed over.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, you drive into the side of somebody. I suppose Lewis and Fernando could fall out with each other because they gave Kimi a championship. It wasn't like they took each other out. They took took one of them out. They took the team out.
Yeah. Yeah, Kimi probably still sends them Christmas cards. Right, the other thing is they're already discussing the 2025 engines. Early signs.
Can we get the 2022 cars first?
No,
not a chance.
In 2025.
No, I'm going to start it now. So when the 2025 engines come in 2026.
Optimistic, only going for the year.
No, Paul, because that means we've been through another fucking hell of a year of a pandemic.
No, it just means F1 hasn't got its shit in order.
Oh, well, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's not why we haven't got new cars.
It's why we had... It was delayed for a year before it was delayed for a year because of COVID, was it not? Were they not meant to be the 2020 cars originally?
No, it was 2021.
Was it always 2021?
I don't know. The big joke was when 2021 happens in 2022, and then it goes and happens. So when 2025 happens in 2024, because they're gonna be extra efficient just to make up for it this time.
Controversial.
These all sound like lines from 1984. It all sounds like Newspeak, doesn't it?
The clock was just striking 13. But yeah, apparently the next engines, it's still going to be a 1.6 litre turbo hybrid, and they're looking at getting rid of the MGUH and putting a more powerful MGUK in. And it's going to be all sustainable fuel-based, or mostly sustainable fuel-based. I just can't see them running on biodiesel.
It's called lip service until somebody can work their head around fucking...
hydrogen?
What you call it? Hydrogen, yeah. The idea of Formula One being able to be carbon neutral is hilarious.
It is wild, isn't it? Like, they are going to have to plant some trees.
But this is the the whole thing about the credit system, carbon credits and offsetting carbon footprint and things like that. I'm not being funny, and I'm not the greatest fucking green warrior by any stretch of the imagination. But this is like buying chocolates for your next door neighbour after you've killed the neighbour in the house next door. Do you know what I mean?
Are you buying chocolates for the dead neighbour or for the neighbour the other side?
No. You've killed the neighbour to the left and you're giving chocolates to the neighbour on the right.
Okay, right, I got you.
It doesn't work, and it's just all.
Don't know. It depends what the neighbour on the left's up to.
Bearing in mind in the direction we're sat who our neighbour on the left is.
I feel that's an in-joke.
It's the landlady.
Oh, right, okay. Well then, do that. You got yourself a flat, haven't you?
Should be too drunk to notice.
Yeah.
That's the rules. It's like Highlander.
Well, were they drunk as well?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there was
one of them was Sean Connery.
Yeah, they were Scottish.
So yeah, I find it strange. I find the idea of Formula One trying to be carbon neutral odd. Yeah, when they're all running around in private jets to get places, and you go, yeah, well that doesn't count. That's not part of Formula One. We don't talk about the private jet.
Yeah, but Lewis has a private jet, but he's vegan.
Right.
So yeah, the plant-based diet, I think, is meant to offset a jet.
Is he replacing all the plants that he eats?
Oh, that's a good point.
Has anyone ever asked a vegan if they've done that?
Right. I have a theory that every time somebody takes a step forward with something, then the people that make the step forward get upset because they've got nothing to fight for anymore. So what happens is, when the vegan war is over and there's more vegans about, that means the people that were originally vegan will be so upset that they've got nothing to make them feel special, nothing to fight for. They will then fight for vegetable rights and claim that vegetables, like, you can't kill vegetables. They're people too. And then these people will be walking around trying to eat, like, BioAir or something like that.
I'm pretty sure there's somebody on the island who you've turned down as a guest on Must See Audio already starting to do that.
Don't know if he's a vegan though.
No, he's well against all that sort of stuff.
Let's move away from him. Right, Aston Martin signed another Red Bull Aero guy.
Yeah, so they stole the head aero a couple of weeks ago, and they've now got another one who I'd forgotten was on the list, and I've forgotten his name. So there's a good story. Give me 2 seconds while I Google this story.
So basically, Aston Martin are just throwing money at anyone who they can bring into the team.
Yeah, so they stole Dan Fellows. I think we talked about that last week. They have now hired Red Bull designer Andrew Alessi to be their head of technical operations. So this is someone who would have been, I think, directly below Dan Fallows.
So they're just pulling the rug out of Adrian Newey's department, basically.
Pretty much.
You know, by the end of the year, it's going to be Newey, his pencil, his drawing board, and everybody else will be wearing green. Or on gardening leave before they wear green. Maybe they're planting trees to replace it.
Makes you wonder. I mean, I know money is the catalyst to all this sort of stuff, but it makes you wonder about what it's like working inside like Red Bull with an overlord like Newey, you know, someone that is so militant with it's their way or the highway, because you know there's been some senior members that you would have thought would have been sticking around, like even going to McLaren as well, you know, with what's his name, I can't remember his name now, the aerodynamicist. You know, it seems that when an opportunity arose, and there's been quite a few jumpers after that rope.
Yeah, I mean, when you're thinking sort of, I don't like it here, it's too dictatorial, I'm going to go work for that nice Mr. Stroll.
This is it, isn't it? I think it's. I don't think it is just the money, it is the freedom. You cannot buy your freedom. Or some shit.
No,
like
that was Braveheart. That's the wrong Scottish fighty movie. Yeah, I mean, how much power does Marco have over the factory? Please, no jokes about keeping an eye on it.
But they're so obvious.
Yeah, I know. That's why I got that line in, so I could get the joke in first. Yeah, is he that much of a sort of dictatorial micromanager?
I'd think so.
I mean, I get the feeling he is, because he was behind sending Tsunoda to Italy to get micromanaged by Franz Tost. And yeah, is he going to be like that in the factory as well? He's the only sort of Adrian Newey that he's not got sort of full 100% life rights over.
Well, let's face it, geniuses tend to be difficult people to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the trouble you guys have with me.
Yeah, you can't cope with us. Could have been a bit quicker with that one.
Yeah, see, that's the issue there. You were not genius level speed.
No, that is... I'm built for comfort. Yeah, it's a tricky one. We're gonna...
Someone like Newey as well is gonna. He's been sort of more established in F1 pre Red Bull. So if Helmut Marko turns up and tells him like, "Hey, this is how we do things," someone of a Newey level of establishment can say, "No, piss off."
Yeah.
But one of the sort of the newer up and coming guys tries that, they're not going to go so well for them.
Yeah, maybe these two have just said it and they suddenly found themselves having to get new jobs, and Stroll was the only option. We shall see when their hostage video comes out. Right, and the other thing, following on from Max Mosley, the documentary, is an 8-part series on Bernie.
Done by the same people who did the Senna movie.
So, with Senna and the other big one they did about Amy Winehouse, they waited till they were dead.
So the feck knows what this means they've got on Bernie.
Something tells me in a few dozen years' time we'll get the 10-part version with the director's cut. Yeah, I mean, Bernie's one of these he's had an interesting career.
Oh yeah, I'm intrigued to see it. I'm definitely very keen to see what the feck this is going to be about.
Yeah,
it's going to be called Lucky, incidentally. I think.
God, I hope that Britney Spears song's the opening title.
Oh, could you imagine? I think it is going to be a sort of a Liberty Media distributed number by the looks of it.
So we'll get it on F1 TV for those 3 days a year that it works on the Isle of Man. Do something about that, F1.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's the trendy thing to do is to slag Bernie Ecclestone off. And I know we've done it ourselves in this podcast, but
we've made a bloody career out of it.
But the guy's a fucking hero. Like if we're perfectly honest, that what he did, without him, does Formula One become what it is? Does it ever leave the gentleman racer sort of era behind?
No, because without him, it would have still been blokes called Reg hammering a car together in a shed.
Yeah. It's, even down to the bringing the safety in, and was it the German Grand Prix where he said if they didn't change the circuit, he was going to go and tell his drivers not to race.
Yeah.
It's the guy maybe stuck around a little bit too long, but ultimately was a force for good within that sport.
He definitely did more good than bad, even over the whole of his career, especially the last few years when he was coming up with the most random crap going. But there's been some races where I'd kill to see sprinklers.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing. I think I don't know if he. The only thing I think he would do, he's done bad, is he was maybe, let's say, lenient on the side of Ferrari.
Yeah,
when it came to certain issues, and let's call a spade a small shovel. He helped them cheat to a certain extent.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if a team boss had his ear, then they could get away with more. For definite. And I think Ross Brawn definitely had his ear, because Ferrari and Benetton cheated like fuck, and who was at both of those when there was cheating going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. But no, I'm looking forward to seeing this. Watch it on a double bill with the Max Mosley one. You get both sides of the story, left and far right.
It could be interesting to sort of piece. It could be quite fun to sort of piece them together and see where the The differences of opinion are.
Yeah, that could be good. Oh, sorry, it's just hit me talking about circuits. We missed one rock star off from this week's race. The fucking anthem.
Oh, the anthem was wild.
Shred version. I've never done.
Missed it.
What are you doing?
Never. They did a Euro metal shred guitar version of the Austrian anthem. I have never thrown the horns during an anthem before. This was the Australian female Yngwie Malmsteen, but good.
Did you say Australian?
Austrian. Austrian female Yngwie Malmsteen, but good. It'll be on YouTube somewhere. If you didn't see it, have a look. I mean, for a start, they had 10 drummers.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think even Statman tweeted, "Wait, is this the anthem?"
Yeah, beat the crap out of Opus the other year.
Which that in itself was a bit wild.
So yeah, go look back at the anthem. You know, you're reviewing metal tracks for Must See Audio at the minute. This might have to be one on the watch list.
Maybe.
Is it shunting time?
It can be.
Now
It can absolutely be.
Now that people have been sending them through.
It turns out that when I said if people don't want total shunt, it goes away, it turns out that people didn't like the idea of not having that anymore.
It's been a fruitful week then.
Even I've been sent 7.
Jesus Christ. And the funny thing was, everyone turned around and said, yeah, well, seeing as how you've got no shunts, I was there looking at it thinking, I have now. It's just because you've sent one in doesn't mean it's the first one. So anyway,
you're good for about 6 months now.
I think we're good. I think I need to go through them because there was so many. I need to go through, tick them off, and file them.
You've got that many. You've got to do filing.
Yeah. That's it now. Now I've got total shunt admin to do. Right, there's loads of them. We'll go. Some of them, what I will say is, some people sent them in and they don't put the numbers next to the clues. I fucking hate that because you're essentially giving me a sentence and say, work out where the clues start and finish yourself, dickhead.
And Lee, I know you're not talking over me and there is lag. You'd never be that rude.
No, ever.
I've just seen your message come up now.
Right.
Now, having spent most of the start of my day at the mercy of the island's internet at Tynwald, yeah, it's not good today. The island's internet has reached capacity.
Both computers are plugged in. Don't change your mind last minute. We've got a podcast waiting and everything.
So I was just seeing that there was one I wanted to do, but I think the guy sent me 3.
Wow.
And, he sent me 3, and he didn't put the name down for the third one. So
So it sent you a set of clues, but no answer.
Oh, this could be interesting. This could actually be a shunt where Lee takes part and asks the questions at the same time.
And there is no answer at the end of it.
Right, no, I've got it. Here we are.
Cool.
Right.
Who's it from,
This
firstly?
Well, let me tell you. This one is from Mr. Rune Wenzel Helms.
Okay.
Wenzel is a fucking middle name, sir.
I mean, Rune Wenzel Helms, that sounds a little bit Danish. Now, if you're listening to this on Thursday, I'm either very sorry that you're out or I hate you.
It also feels like it should end with, like, the third.
It does. It feels very grand as a name. I like it. I welcome Mr. Rune.
I'm a fan. I like it. I was born.
Yay.
In 2014.
Ooh, hell.
Oh, right. Are you on the Red Bull Young Drivers programme, or have you been kicked off?
Probably been kicked off by now, yeah. It's not Roscoe again, is it?
Despite my name, I am not from Sicily.
Okay.
Interesting.
I think is it Sicily? Sicily.
That is the island of Sicily.
Yeah, sorry, my dyslexia was fucking flaring up.
Bloody Italian island and then
don't we share a flag with them?
I have no idea.
They do have a 3 legs on their flag, I think, similar to the Manx 3 legs, but obviously not as good.
Number 3, my service is specially targeted to an adult audience. I would like a guess.
Oh.
My service is fucking Pornhub.
That does not sound like it's from Sicily.
No, but they gave free subscriptions to everyone in Italy at the start of the first lockdown last year.
Did they?
Yes. Everybody was rushing to find Italian VPNs.
Christ.
I think they did it as well for like the US election. They gave everyone who voted a free pass for a week or something like that. Italian sounding sort of digital service type thing.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, the closest I've got is Pornhub.
Is Sicily the one that the mafia is from?
I think so, yeah, allegedly.
No, is that allegedly? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that. I just want to sort of think out loud, really. Yeah, I have no...
Yeah, we'll go with Pornhub as a first guess.
Why the fuck not?
Lovely.
Just as an aside, if you're on iRacing and you use Trading Paints, you can get your account banned if you upload a Pornhub livery.
That's ridiculous.
That's information someone's found out through experience.
Yes, it is, isn't it, Josh Levy, who does iRacing with us in the Three Legs Four Wheels League?
Wow, that's crazy. Despite attaining some fame, I do not have a Wikipedia page. I'm thinking that maybe this might have been the first point of call for this person when he was trying to put the subject together.
I'm going to look on their Wikipedia page for one more clue. They don't have a Wikipedia page. That in itself is a clue.
Is it us? We don't have a Wikipedia page. And there's three.
It sounds like we come from Sicily.
There's 3 legs on the Sicilian flag.
Oh, shit. That might be a thing.
But we were born in 2015.
Ah.
Oh, the podcast was. The website started in 2014.
Too young.
Oh, it could be us.
Number 5. My first on-track appearance was in F2000.
It's not us. Right, okay. So, I mean, F2000 sort of regional series is one of the Formula Ford or Formula Renault ones. It's gonna be some. It'll be a sponsor of some description.
Or like a thing, like the Halo, but not the Halo.
Yeah, it's a bit too late for the hands. Still got another clue before the guess.
Yes.
I'm just disappointed it's not us.
Some of these clues are wrong.
Oh, so you're saying it still could be?
No, I'm not saying anything about who it could be. I'm just saying some of these clues are wrong, and we might be able to go through them at the end.
It's the lack of Wikipedia page that's caused the issues here.
However, my background is in Formula E.
It is us! Formula 2000, Dave Daddario's car. First driver to carry a logo. First tweet about 3 legs, 4 wheels. Bloody hell, Formula E's boring. Even though there's a lot of XF1 drivers. It's us!
Is that the guess?
It seems reasonable.
I'm going for that.
Surprisingly logical.
I'm going for that. It's bloody us.
Number 7. I've since diversified into other motorsports.
Like IndyCar, iRacing. All right, where we've had the logo, there's been quite a lot of karting. Matt Steele's got the logo on his karting suit. Adam Smith's got it on his autocross car.
Number 8.
Yeah.
I now run my own international racing series.
Yes, we do.
9. Amongst the most famous drivers, I have had George Russell and Lando Norris.
Facts.
Yes, definitely. But we can't also forget Dave Daddario, as previously mentioned, Alice Powell, Abby Pulling,
Johnny Herbert,
and Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas, and Robert Kubica by proxy.
Number 10. However, I am probably most known for mentioning Jenson Button.
He has been known to be a favourite. I'm going to regret asking this question. Is there a Spaffer?
No, there is no Spaffer.
Oh, that's a shame. Is it 3 legs, 4 wheels?
It is 3 legs, 4 wheels.
Good Lord.
What a triumphant return for a total shunt. What a boy.
It's the first time I've heard us compared to Pornhub, though. Oh, thank you for that.
I didn't realise the Formula E tweet. But yeah, I didn't get that because that's where I thought he said the reason you put a podcast together was for Formula E. I was there thinking, I don't remember doing a Formula E.
It was
podcast.
triggered by Formula E.
It was triggered by the first Formula E race, which was 2014. When I put on Facebook, a lot of XF1 drivers in Formula E, still a bit boring though. And they just followed on this huge conversation from it, which by the end of the conversation in the comments, me and Flood had decided to start a blog and a forum for Isle of Man Formula 1 fans. And then a few months later, we thought, let's do a podcast. And I thought, Lee's been trying to get one going for a while, let's get him in as well. And we've never looked forward since.
The funny thing is, trying to put a blog and a page together for Isle of Man Formula 1 fans, and ever since then, even though we've now acquired quite a few thousand listeners, realistically, on the Isle of Man side, we've been met with nothing but silence.
That's not true. That is not true, actually.
No, Ryan Neal will be listening.
I was going to say, Ryan was there from the start, a.k.a. Ryan from Onken. And I was at work back end of last year, and somebody new had just come into the company, and they came into my department. I work in IT because I wanted something picking up, and they heard me talking to somebody, and so I did a double take. And so excuse me, I've got to ask you don't do a podcast, do you? It's like Formula 1 one. It's like, I thought I recognised your voice. I didn't know I'd be working with you. Like, oh fuck. So yeah, there is somebody I work with that listen to us, and there's been a few more people that have started listening since. So I think we've now got 20 listeners on the Isle of Man.
Wow,
I know. It's several thousand more worldwide. Room, thank you for sending that in. At least we do know who we are.
Eventually.
Yeah,
via Pornhub.
It's how you make all the best discoveries. How do you send in a shunt? Because too much is never enough.
No, too much never enough. Just send me a tweet, a private message at a total shunt, or send me an Instagram message at a total shunt with your 10 clues, minimum of 10 clues. You can have an 11th spaffer in there if you want, which you can make as reasonably easy, like a giveaway one. And put the fucking numbers next to the questions, yeah.
You can also send ones for the reserve list, which is looking a lot healthier now, to 3legs4wheels@gmail.com. And if you want to get in touch on the socials, we're at 3legs4wheels on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Individually on Twitter, we are
at Sean Cowper.
Chris is at Flood21 and I'm at Pablo100. And if you want to get the show a little bit earlier, you can subscribe to Patreon, and we will start doing Patreon shows again soon, now that we've managed to sort of streamline the recording process. So if you go to patreon.com/3legs4wheels, it's the number 3 and the number 4, because people do keep asking. You can sign up there, $1, €1, £1 a month, and like I say, you get the shows a little bit early, and there'll be a bit of extra content as well. You can leave messages on there, so yes, there is extra contact. All right, we'll be back next week with a preview. Just a preview, not a review and a preview. We get a weekend off Formula One this weekend.
Yes.
Which is just as well, because in our international racing series, we're taking part in the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Again. So watch out for me on Twitch this weekend, because I'll be streaming that throughout the day, Saturday and Sunday. So twitch.tv/3legs4wheels. We'll have a preview of that where, don't forget, we get 2 races in 2 weeks' time. Because we've got the first of the sprint qualifiers, which is going to go one way or the other. And I'm not entirely sure which. Until then, stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.